The idea he'd given me was looking better and better, and it was almost time to spring it. He hasn't shown up wherever she is, has he? Not yet, no, he may still be looking for it. I don't think he ran away to see Shannon, I said. Why, then? Do they have a better brand of ice cream there in Omaha? Because that's the way he was headed, sure as your life. I think he went looking for his mother. I think she may have gotten in touch with him. That stopped him for a good 10 seconds, long enough for a wipe of the forehead and a brush of the hair. Then he said, how would she do that? A letter would be my best guess. The Hemingford Home Grocery was also the post office, where all the general delivery went. They would have given it to him when he went in for candy or a bag of peanuts, as he often does on his way back from school. I don't know for sure, Sheriff, any more than I know why you came out here acting like I committed some kind of crime. I wasn't the one who knocked her up. You ought to hush that kind of talk about a nice girl. Maybe yes and maybe no, but this was as much a surprise to me as it was to the Cotteries, and now my boy is gone. They at least know where their daughter is. Once again he was stumped. Then he took out a little notebook from his back pocket and jotted something in it. He put it back and asked, "You don't know for sure that your wife got in touch with your kid, though, that's what you're telling me?" "It's just a guess. I know he talked a lot about his mother after she left, but then he stopped. And I know he hasn't shown up at that home where Harlan and his wife stuck Shannon. And on that score I was as surprised as Sheriff Jones. But awfully grateful." Put the two things together, and what do you get? "I don't know," Jones said, frowning. "I truly don't. I thought I had this figured out, but I've been wrong before, haven't I?" "Yes, and will be again. We are all bound in error, that's what the book says. But good God, kids make my life hard. If you hear from your son, Wilfred, I'd tell him to get his skinny ass home and stay away from Shannon Cottery, if he knows where she is." "She won't want to see him, guarantee you that. Good news is no prairie fire, and we can't arrest him for stealing his father's truck." "No," I said grimly, "you'd never get me to press charges on that one." "But," he raised his finger, which reminded me of Mr. Stoppenhauser at the bank. "3 days ago, in Lime Bisca, not so far from where the rider found your truck, someone held up that grocery in Ethel Station on the edge of town. The one with the blue bonnet girl on the roof?" Took $23. I got the report sitting on my desk. It was a young fella dressed in old cowboy clothes, with a bandana pulled up over his mouth and a plainsman hat slouched down over his eyes. The owner's mother was tending the counter, and the fella menaced her with some sort of tool. She thought it might have been a crowbar or a pry rod, but who knows? She's pushing 80 and half blind. It was my time to be silent. I was flabbergasted. At last I said, "Henry left from school, Sheriff, and so far as I can remember he was wearing a flannel shirt and corduroy trousers that day." "He didn't take any of his clothes, and in any case he doesn't have any cowboy clothes, if you mean boots and all." "Nor does he have a plainsman's hat." "He could have stolen those things, too, couldn't he?" "If you don't know anything more than what you just said, you ought to stop." "I know you're friends with Harlan." Now, this has nothing to do with that." It did, and we both knew it, but there was no reason to go any farther down that road. Maybe my 80 acres didn't stack up very high against Harlan Cottery's 400, but I was still a landowner and a taxpayer, and I wasn't going to be browbeaten. That was the point I was making, and Sheriff Jones had taken it. "My son's not a robber, and he doesn't threaten women."